Hey, what's going on guys? My name is Silent Core and welcome to the top 10 things that we know about GTA 6 so far. So just before we get into this video, I want to give you guys a quick disclosure on this. By making this video, I'm not saying that GTA 6 is going to come out anytime soon. In fact, I'm pretty confident when I say that GTA 6 is going to be a lot further away than a lot of you might think. And the reason for that is GTA Online. And the fact is, it makes much more sense for Rockstar to invest their development teams into creating online content for GTA Online rather than starting full production on GTA 6 currently. And as you guys might have seen from Rockstar's quarterly earnings reports, GTA Online is still performing extremely well, and the longer it continues to perform extremely well, it's going to keep pushing back the full production of GTA 6. And just to confirm this fact, when GTA 4 was released, there was 2 single-player DLCs released in the first 2 years of that game being out. And just look at GTA 5, we're now over 3 years after this game's been launched, and we have no single-player DLCs. That really goes to show of how much of a focus that GTA Online and online content is to Rockstar currently. So in my personal opinion, I do believe we've got another 4 years from today to wait until we'll be seeing GTA 6. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So let's take a look at the top 10 things that we know. Special thanks to Jan for sourcing much of this information. I'm going to link his article in the description if you guys want to check it out. The first point is location. So in 2013, Leslie Benzies did an interview with Develop Online. Now he's now the former president of Rockstar North, but in this interview he confirmed that the location of any GTA game is actually the first question in their development. He went on to say that the location defines the missions. You know, you're going to be doing different things in LA than you are from New York, or you're going to be doing in Miami. And then the map and the story get worked together, and the story is a basic flow of how it works out so you can layer the missions in. So what he's basically saying here is when you're going to develop a new GTA game, the first question is going to be the location. That's going to set everything in the game. Everything's going to be built on top of that one location. So I'm pretty confident they'll have already had the location down. You know, that's pretty preliminary work. That sort of stuff gets done before the game even goes into full production. And if we just take a look at the last few GTA games, obviously GTA 5 was in San Andreas, GTA 4 was in Liberty City, and then GTA Vice City was in Vice City. And that moves us on quite nicely to the second point. So in 2013, Dan Houser did an interview with The Guardian, and if GTA would ever be set in Europe or the United Kingdom again. I think one of the original top-down GTA games were actually set in London, so this is quite a good question. And this was Dan Houser's response. He said, "I think for us, my gut feeling is GTA London was cool for the time, but games were more limited then. Those days I think we would love to set a game in the UK set in London, however I don't know if that would be a GTA game. I think there are plenty of great stories that we could tell about the UK, there's good environments to showcase, great gameplay mechanics that could have a UK stint to them, however I don't think it would be GTA necessarily. There are so many games that we'd like to make that we don't have the bandwidth to make at the moment, but we always think, well, the future is long and varied, but that's what the future is for." And this is possibly the most important part when he says, "Speaking for myself, and normally I'd be militant about saying we as much as possible because it certainly isn't me at all, thank God, but my own personal feeling is that GTA is America. With this game, I think we're very happy with this location. It lets us do something iconic." Now when you think about it, this actually completely makes sense. The whole point of GTA is the guns, it's the vehicles, the weapons, it's the references to the way people live in America, the contemporary American lifestyle. You know, there's lots of sort of references and puns towards that. And I really couldn't imagine this game being played in Europe or the UK. You know, guns aren't very common here in the UK. It'd just be really hard to imagine, and I think the story would be quite different as well. So from the sounds of this, GTA 6 definitely sounds like it's going to continue in America. Number 3, will GTA 6 return to Vice City? So this one actually comes from another interview with Leslie Benzies done in 2012 with digitaltrends.com, and they asked him if Vice City would ever return in a future GTA. His response was, "It's always a possibility. There's a few references to the city in our current gen GTAs, so it is a part of that HD universe, and certainly is somewhere we'd love to revisit. However, Vice City, perhaps more than any GTA game, was more about the era as the setting, so Miami in the 1980s was so iconic, it would feel strange to revisit that city in a different time period." So his response to that question wasn't really overly positive, but it sounded like he did keep it as kind of like an open possibility for the future. I personally would love to visit Vice City again. It was one of my favourite GTA games. It was an awesome location, but it would definitely be weird not visiting it in the 80s, so in that way I'm skeptical it would be the setting for GTA 6. Now apparently only 2 GTA games out of 5 have taken place at any other time rather than the present. Now obviously if we have a game set in the past, it's going to give us some historical events, but it's also going to really limit the developers, especially in a GTA game, and it would be kind of weird to have a game which doesn't use the internet and mobile phones like we do today. You know, we use a lot of these technologies in the GTA game. So I think with that being said, it's very likely that GTA 6 is going to be taking place in the present. Jan did make some good points around this one. He said that since Las Venturas, which is based in Las Vegas, was used in GTA 5, it actually reduces the chances of it being used in GTA 6. However, San Fierro, which is San Francisco, was used back in San Andreas in 2004 on a very small scale, so there is quite a lot of scope for this one to be explored in a future GTA title. Similarly, having a snowy region to explore such as North Yankton, which we saw in GTA 5, I think this was actually only accessible during a few missions, so having a much more open region that we can explore would be awesome, kind of like the Tall Trees area in Red Dead Redemption. That area was always snowy and good to explore. I think something like that would be great for GTA 6. I've also seen some speculation on Mexico. Now although Mexico isn't obviously in the United States, it's pretty close and it could have a pretty good setting for, you know, a game. There's a lot of poor areas, there's some richer areas, there's some corruption there. It would be a pretty good contrast between Mexico and the United States. Fact number 4, will GTA 6 encompass the whole of the United States? I also thought it was worth mentioning that in the same article of Digital Trends, Leslie made a comment that he would like at some point to have a map big enough to encompass all of their cities. So I can imagine this would be a pretty massive project, you know, having every game city together. And there's actually a mod for GTA San Andreas, I think it's called GTA Underground, that brings every GTA city and location together in one map. So something like that would be awesome for a future GTA game. There'd be so much to explore, but again, this would be a massive project, and I'm a little hesitant to believe that's what GTA 6 will be. Point 5, will we get a female protagonist to play with in GTA 6? Now, I'm pretty sure this has been a theory for every GTA game. Will we get a female protagonist to play? So in 2013, Dan Houser explained in an interview with The Guardian why GTA 5 had no female protagonist. He said, despite Rockstar's sometimes secretive aura, the article reads, despite Rockstar's sometimes secretive aura, Houser is very direct and has strong views on GTA 5's relationship with the movies. We don't need to hark back to film when technology allows us to produce our own response to real places. On the lack of playable game characters, the concept of being masculine was so key to this story. And on game conferences like E3 and Gamescom, which he no longer attends, you don't need to play a video game in a room with 20,000 people watching the same thing unless you're a lunatic. So although Dan Houser did say this way back in 2013, with that logic, that would carry over to GTA 6 as well. Now, statistics actually show that most crimes in real life are committed by males, but there are some really successful games out there with female characters. You know, we've got Tomb Raider, we've got Mirror's Edge, Assassin's Creed Syndicate. There's some really badass female characters, and I don't think it would be too out of place if they got a character in GTA 6 that was female. Point 6 is also to do with characters, and will we get multiple protagonists in GTA 6? So this was a new addition to GTA 5. Some players loved it, some not so much. Personally, I prefer playing with one character. I find that when I have one character, I get much more emotionally invested into that character. I'm going to care a lot more about the story. I'm going to care much more for that character. I'm really going to be into what happens to them. Whereas when you're spending your time split between, especially 3 different characters, you know, you have much less of an intense relationship with them. You tend not to care so much when you have multiple characters. And there's also a scaling issue. You know, if you're developing a game that's built for multiple protagonists, you're having to put much more development time into each mission because it's kind of playable in 3 different ways. And GTA 5 is actually one of the shortest GTA games with only 69 missions because of this. Jan also made a really valid comment on this one, saying that with GTA Online becoming more successful, it's likely they're going to be putting more development time and focus on the online components over story mode. So if they do have a single protagonist in GTA 6, that would save them valuable development time in their pipeline of their single player game, leaving them more development time on their multiplayer. Next up, will we see a first-person view in the next GTA game? So first-person mode was introduced for the first time into PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC versions of the game, and Rockstar actually covered this one in a Q&A on their Newswire in 2014. Somebody submitted the question saying, "Are you only doing first-person games now? I've always loved Rockstar games, partly because they're third-person games." Rockstar's response was, "Absolutely not. We're excited by the response to our first effort at a first-person experience, but remain committed to the third-person games, and we may or may not use first-person camera option as an option in the future." And they say, "We do like to, whenever possible, give people options so they can play the game the way they like." So I don't know about you guys watching this, let me know in the comments how often you use first person mode, but for me, it's a little bit of a novelty feature. I don't use it too often. I think I actually forced myself to use first person mode for a certain amount of hours just to get the achievement unlocked. I don't know what it is, just playing in first person mode on GTA, especially when you're doing the combat role, it just makes you feel a little bit sick, you know, it's a little bit too intense. So I think the ultimate question here is how much development time is actually needed to make a first person mode. You know, there's lots of extra animations, there's lots of different interiors needed to be made. You know, the interiors of cars would have to be reworked because people are seeing them a much different angle in first person mode. And I think when it comes to deciding if GTA 6 has a first person mode, Rockstar probably wants to have a good look at the data and see statistically how many people are using first person mode on a daily basis and see if it's worth the development time. Fact number 8, will we see a multiplayer in GTA 6? You guys saw this coming, right? With their extremely positive financial reports every single quarter, even 3 years after release, you'd be crazy to be surprised with a GTA 6 multiplayer. Now I have noticed they've been branding GTA Online as their own thing. You know, it's not GTA 5 Online, it's just GTA Online, meaning they can continue the lifespan of this as long as possible. I've also been quite surprised to see people asking if they're going to be able to transfer their characters to GTA 6 Online, and I think that's just a silly question. There's absolutely no way we'll be able to transfer characters. First of all, it's just something that no online games do. You know, you don't release a Call of Duty and then allow you to transfer your stats over to the next Call of Duty. It's just not something that happens. Another common question is, will there be microtransactions? And of course there will be. But again, it's not a bad thing. We've had a lot of free DLC content thanks to shark cards. You know, thanks to the player base out there that do buy shark cards on a regular basis, is to let everybody else that wants to play for free allow them to do that. And you know, if you're not in the financial position to buy DLC content, you know, you can play the game for what it is, make money yourself, and play completely for free, basically. Next up, what sort of platforms can we expect to play GTA 6 on? So I think PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, these are the obvious choices, but it'll be interesting to see what sort of upgrades these consoles might get in the future. You know, obviously we've just had the PlayStation 4 Pro just announced, and it's going to be playing some games at 4K, so could GTA 6 be one of the 4K enabled games? Possibly. And it's also worth thinking about the next generation of consoles. You know, GTA 5 actually came out quite towards the end of the Xbox 360 and the PS3's lifespan, and then we went into the next generation. The same thing could happen with GTA 6 as we upgrade our console generations. Jan also commented on this one, saying that GTA on PC isn't as popular as you might think. He states there's only 4 million players on Steam combined with the 60 million on other platforms, so that's PS3, Xbox 360, Xbox One and PS4. Although you do have to take into consideration that 60 million number, people have bought the game multiple times. You know, that's not 60 million unique people. You know, I've actually ended up buying the game 3 times. I got it on Xbox 360, Xbox One and PS4. So it is quite interesting to hear that the Steam number is actually so low compared to those other platforms. However, I do think another factor for the reduced sales on PC is just the fact that it didn't come to PC until a much later date than all the other platforms. So a lot of people had already played GTA 5 through and completed it by the time it actually came to PC. With that being said, in my opinion, I do think GTA 6 will come to PC with just the popularity of mods and the specs of PCs being able to support the game at a much higher quality. I think they would be crazy not to release it on PC. So that leaves us with the last point, and this is going to be the release date of GTA 6. When can we expect even an announcement that GTA 6 is in the works? So looking at the release dates of the past GTA games, the development time gets longer and longer. You know, I'd expect this was a big part due to the games industry progressing. We've got higher tech, means more development hours, a lot more people are needed to make each game. We've got consoles and PCs getting more and more powerful every single day, so these games are going to have to put a lot more development time into, getting graphics and gameplay up to those level of standards. So let's take a look at the release schedule just for a second. So in 2008 we had GTA 4, that was 4 years after San Andreas. In 2009 we had The Lost and Damned, and then in 2010 we had The Ballad of Gay Tony. And then in 2013 we had GTA 5, that came 5 years after GTA 4. So I think it's safe to assume we've got at least 5 years from GTA 5's release date before we'll hear anything. However, as I mentioned at the start of this video, GTA Online's success has resulted in a full studio focus on supporting online DLC content, which as a result does push back the full production of other projects that Rockstar North would be otherwise working on. So looking at all the evidence, I think GTA 6 is a lot further away than you might first think, and I predict that we might be waiting at least 2019 to at least hear anything about GTA 6. So there you go guys, that was everything we know so far about GTA 6. Now please take everything I mentioned in this video with a pinch of salt. Some of the things that have been said are from people that are no longer at the company, and it was said quite a number of years ago. Plans change, companies change, these type of things are completely subject to change. If you did enjoy this video and watched it all the way to the end, I'd really appreciate if you could take a few seconds to leave it a like. That would really help out the video, and also subscribe if you're new around here, because I do post a lot of GTA and Red Dead related videos. And of course, I'll be keeping you up to date on any GTA 6 related news or rumours. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one.